Well, today we're going to talk about why the heck haven't I made any YouTube videos? Where have I been and what have I been up to? Well, before we dive into exactly what I've been up to, I want to kind of give you an update about the weather here around here. It's just been really strange this year. It was predicted to be a really bad winter, lots of snow, you know, the apocalypse snow year again, where we had like 6-foot drifts and, you know, so on and so forth. It hasn't turned out that way at all. It's been a very mild winter. We'd get a little bit of snow. A few days later, it would melt off. Well, yesterday, a pretty good storm system hit and dumped a fair amount of snow. We got about 6 to 8 inches of snow. And during that process, I'm going to take the drone up for a flight, catch some of this awesome snow coming down, because I'm a snow kind of guy. I like winter weather. I love the snow. So I got that drone out there. And normally when I fly that drone out here, I take it out away from my towers. So if it has to do an auto return home, I've got it set to where it'll stay at 90 meters on its return flight, but it'll fly over all the towers and then come down. Well, I was not thinking ahead, and I took off right below the tower out here and went up for a flight. When I took off, it had about 50% battery on the drone. Got up there towards the top end of the field, and it went from, at that point, it was at about 40%. Went from 40 down to 15 like in 5 seconds. Says, oh, I'm coming home, auto return home. And that thing, when it decides it's coming back on a return flight because its battery is low, there's not much you're going to do about it to stop it. You can do all the input you want, it's coming back. Well, I saw the path it was coming in. I thought, oh no, it's going to run into my tower. Well, it had raised itself up enough. It flew over the tower. But where it had to come down, there's 3 Yagis with the elements hanging out that it had to fly right down through the middle of all those elements. And I don't think the sensor on it is good enough to pick up those elements. It'll pick up the ground and bigger objects, but little 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch elements, it's probably not going to see them. So it come down through all those Yagi elements. A couple of them, it missed them by millimeters. And I was just standing there waiting for this drone to hit one and fall out of the sky and break something. But it made it, landed it. Got some footage of the snowstorm. It was an interesting snowstorm. On the way back, I put a second battery in and took it for a longer flight. And I think I got some decent footage. I haven't looked at it yet. But it was a nice flight. But on the way back, the wind started. It was dead calm through most of that storm. Just steady, nice, soft snow coming down. I got out about 1/2 mile from the house. The wind picked up. That second flight out, the drone had a heck of a time getting back. It got so much of a headwind. So right after I landed, then the wind really picked up. We had like 40-mile-an-hour winds for a while. And we went from 6 to 8 inches of snow to about 3 feet of snow in no time flat, at least in spots. There's spots out here with no snow on the ground, and other spots we've got some pretty good drifts now. It's actually snowing outside right now. It's supposed to snow most of the night. Tomorrow, after it snows all night, I guess it's going to turn to rain, supposedly. Whew, not looking forward to that. It just makes a mess is all it does. And if you've got dogs and live in the country, rain, mud, it's terrible. The other thing we've been doing is spending some time up on our local ski resort with the kids. Trying to teach them to snowboard. That's been a real learning experience for me. My older 2 kids bought me snowboarding lessons. I'd never really snowboarded or skied all my life. When I was 40 years old, that's what they got for my birthday, was a snowboarding lessons and a day's rental. And I'll say this, the first few times you snowboard, it's terrible until it clicks, and then it's a lot of fun. Fortunately, even though the first 2 times we went up were not that fun, and I about killed myself a couple times, I stuck with it, and I'm not a great snowboarder, but I have fun doing it. We're trying to teach the kids how to snowboard. I learned very quickly. I'm not an instructor, so we pay for lessons, then I take them up on the hill. And we're getting there. They're not to the toe turning stage quite yet. They've almost got to where they can do S-turns, but not quite. Good job, man. Outstanding. So that's been a fun learning experience, I'm sure, for them. A little frustration on my part sometimes because it's like, you should just pick this up. Well, they're 7. They're going to take a while. They're getting there though. They're once about the third lesson in, they really started. You could tell it's clicking now, and it's fun to watch them learn. From each time we go up, I just make leaps and bounds after each day. I'm just like, wow, from where we started today to where we ended, that pretty amazing. Anyway, the other thing, the reason I have not got in front of the camera, I'm probably a little over a month, those things are to blame. And I guess ultimately you could blame my wife. She's the one that bought me the one on the right. I love this guitar. That's a PRS S2 McCarty that we picked up over in Eagle, Idaho, or Meridian, Idaho at Eagle Guitar. If you ever get a chance and you're in the Boise area, Eagle Guitar, the guy's name is JR. Guy's got so many stories. He's been in music industry pretty much all of his adult life. He's got tons of stories. Really, really neat guy. Anyway, he sold us that guitar at a price we just really couldn't turn down. Way cheaper than I found it anywhere online. Now, why that guitar? Oh boy, this is kind of a long story. In fact, I shot this video earlier and I ran up against a 30-minute buffer on this camera. This camera only records for 30 minutes and then you have to start it over. And I'm like, wow, that's way too long a video, so we've got to shorten this thing up a little bit. Okay, the short version. Ever since high school, I've wanted to learn to play guitar. A buddy of mine in high school, his name was Bob. Bob, if you're watching, I don't know if you remember this story or not. I kept bugging him about it. He's one of these guys that just naturally had musical talent, at least to me. I didn't see the struggles maybe he had behind the scenes, but to me, he just picked it up really fast. I was super envious of him. He just had that talent with the guitar. He could pick one up and play it really quickly. Me, in grade school, middle school, I paid no attention to any music classes. I was like, what do I need to learn this stuff for? I don't care. Well, I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention, because when you're pushing 50 and trying to learn music theory, it's not fun. Anyway, back then, I bugged him, man, I really wish I had a guitar to play. And I don't know how this all came about, but I traded him I think it was a Cobra CB radio. Might have been a Realistic, I don't remember, for some guitar he had. Now, what that guitar was, I don't know. I wish I would have kept it or knew what it was. But anyway, I took it home and I was too proud to ever ask for any help to learn to play the thing. And of course, back then, he didn't have YouTube or the internet to learn any of this stuff. So I just struggled along. And after it got out of tune the first time, I had no idea how to tune the thing. Bob tuned it before I took it home. When I got it home, it was probably in tune a few days. And then it got out of tune. I had no idea how to tune it. And it just all went downhill from there. Really didn't learn much from that experience, besides I probably need some help if I'm ever going to learn guitar. Well, fast forward, I don't know what happened to that guitar. I don't know. I know I had it after high school for a while, but I don't know if I wound up selling it in a yard sale. I kind of wish I would have kept it. I really don't know what happened to that guitar. Sorry, Bob, I don't know where your guitar went. Anyway, the next guitar, it was some Mark III, it's something you bought from like Walmart. Tried learning on it. I learned a little bit. I learned a couple chords on it. Again, it was hard to play. I didn't really like it. Then the next guitar, I think I bought, probably seen it in some of the videos, my earlier videos. It was a Blue Strat clone. Bought it off of eBay for like $90. It came with a little 10-watt amplifier. Terrible guitar. My boys got it. My youngest boy's got it now. He's fiddling with it. If he shows more interest, I'm going to get him a decent guitar. That thing, hard to play, doesn't stay in tune, terrible on your fingers. It was not a fun experience. Next guitar was a Seagull. I finally, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, I don't remember. The wife said, you need if you're going to learn guitar, you need a better guitar. And somewhere in there, I'd taken lessons locally, didn't go real well. I got frustrated fairly quickly. One, the guitar, I think it was that Mark III I had. And I went to the lesson and they're like, oh, this is really easy. Just play this. And when somebody says, oh, this is really easy, and then you find out it's actually way harder than you thought, but they're making it look super easy, it becomes discouraging fairly quickly. I'll get more into that in a little bit. A couple of years go by after those lessons, the wife says, and I kept hinting around about, I need a better guitar. We stopped at Guitar Center, found this Seagull guitar. You've seen it in the background on quite a few videos. Much better guitar. It stays in tune. It's a good guitar. It's not like a top level guitar, but it's a decent guitar. I enjoyed playing it. I learned some on it. But I've always wanted to learn electric guitar. I'm not like Metallica type music, but I just like the versatility of an electric guitar, all the different sounds that an electric guitar can produce. So I decided I want a good electric guitar. I don't want this China clone Strat thing that doesn't stay in tune. So several months ago, during this whole COVID thing, I was like, I really want to learn how to play guitar. Enough of this fiddling around, learning a few chords here and there. I want to learn actually how to play these things. So the search was on, and through a lot of internet searching and different videos and reading about stuff, I kind of fell in love with these PRS, Paul Reed Smith guitars. They just kind of appealed to me. I'm not a big flashy blue, red, yellow, whatever guitar. I like the wood grain look of this style of guitar. So I settled on a SE, I don't remember the model number, 25, model numbers don't stick in my head. It was a SE something. It's a foreign-made guitar for PRS. They import it. It sounds like a pretty good quality guitar. It's at $500-600 price point, but it's a lot better than anything I'd ever had. And I said, well, yeah, I bet you I could learn on that. The only problem was when I went to buy it, I couldn't really find any. Only people that had it that I could find was Guitar Center, and they were going through the whole bankruptcy thing. And I was like, I'd really like to find a local dealer to buy a guitar from. Well, none of the local dealers anywhere close to me can afford to become a PRS dealer. It's like, the one told me it's a $50,000 buy-in. You have to buy $50,000 worth of products to buy in to become a dealer. I don't know if that's true or not, but so none of the local dealers carried these guitars. So a lot of searching. I found the one on the right, over on that side. I don't know if it's going to be right on the screen or not, probably left on your screen. It's a PRS Vela. It was a blemish guitar. They had it at a really reduced price, and it's got a slight blemish on the back. It's nothing I'm very concerned about. So I ordered it, and then the wife and I took a trip over to the Boise area, and we stopped at a dealer over there in Meridian, Idaho called Eagle Guitar. If you ever get the chance to stop into Eagle Guitar in Meridian, Idaho, do it. If you're a guitar guy, JR in there, he's full of stories. He's been a guitar player pretty much his whole adult life. He's played for a lot of different musicians. Neat guy, lots of stories. Stopped in there, and I'd seen this S2 McCarty online. I'm like, man, there's no way I can justify buying a guitar that expensive. Walked in, he said, yeah, I just got this in. And I got a Black Friday special, even though it was well after Black Friday. He says, I'll make you a heck of a deal on it. And my poor wife, she could see the excitement in my eyes. And she says, okay, that's your birthday present. Happy birthday. So she bought me that guitar. In the meantime, that thing was on the way. I was going to send it back once it got here. I was like, I don't really need two good guitars. Then I got them here and started playing with them. And I'm like, okay, can I keep both guitars? And she agreed to it. So that's the reason we've got two decent guitars now. So why does that have anything to do with making videos? Well, I'm the type of guy with whatever hobby I get into, and I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but I dive whole hog into it, immerse myself into it, and try and just learn everything there is to know about it. So once I got a decent guitar that's actually fun to play on, that's what I did. I just said, I'm going to learn how to play this thing. So once I started, then I got I'm starting to learn more chords. I'm starting to learn things. I want to know a little bit about music theory. And what I know about music theory, to start with, I had no idea what was going on. Absolutely zero. what I was actually doing. So then I decided, well, I'm going to start watching videos on music theory. There's several guys I started watching. I think the guy's in England. I think his name's Guy something or other. Anyway, I paid for one of his courses, like $20 on music theory. And for a lame brain like me, he put it in terms that I could understand. But again, it was kind of a basic music theory, and I've been learning more and more about it. It's been actually a very interesting process. 3 years ago, you would have never heard me say learning music theory was interesting. But it actually is. So I've been diving in. The more I learn, the more I want to know. It's one of those things. So enough with all that. How's it been going? Well, I've taken some online courses through Justin Guitar. Most of his courses are free. If you're a beginning guitarist and want to learn something, he's got a lot of great info. There's a couple other guys I signed up for. I don't remember the guy's name. Music is Win is his channel. I will say I've learned some things from his course. It's not quite what I expected. It doesn't fit my learning style real well. I'm hoping the further I progress, the more I'll get out of that, but we'll see how that goes. There's another guy, I think he's in Denmark, not real sure. He's got some awesome YouTube videos out there, but most of his stuff on YouTube I find, man, way over my head. He goes into music theory really quick and really fast, and pretty soon I'm lost. But I'm starting to learn, I'm almost to the point where when he's talking, I can follow about half of his conversation now. Real interesting guy though. Love his channel, love listening to his music. Anyway, so how's all this been going for me? Well, when I learned Morse code back in high school to get my ham radio license, I learned Morse code, the alphabet, and a couple of the characters. I think it was the period and something, in about a week. My mentor, his name was Blaine, KE7QC. He gave me a tape to listen to, and I drove around for hours in my little two-wheel drive pickup listening to that tape. After school, driving around listening. Those 2 weekends in between the class, it might have been just a weekend. Anyway, spent the whole weekend driving around up in the mountains, looking at old mines and listening to Morse code and learning it. The way I learned it was completely wrong, by the way. It made learning at faster speeds incredibly difficult. But anyway, I learned the alphabet fairly quickly. And that's one of the things that with having a young mind, it's way more moldable than once you get to my age. So anyway, I learned that fairly quickly, but I come to the next class. I said, hey, Blaine, I'm really having trouble with Morse code. He says, oh, which character in the alphabet are you having problems with? I said, oh, it's not the alphabet. I already learned that. It's like the question mark. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm really struggling with it. And I beat myself up because I hadn't learned all that. And nobody told me I wasn't supposed to, I could take weeks to learn it, not in a week. And he's like, he says, quit beating yourself up over it. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly for a while. I'm like, what? What does that even mean? And then I thought about it. I'm like, that actually makes some sense. Anything that you're going to spend some time doing, it's okay to do it poorly for a while till you get better. That's the way it's been with this guitar. I bought a decent little amplifier, a Boss Katana. I don't know how you say it. Little 25, maybe it's a 50 watt amp. Anyway, I wanted a decent amp, decent guitar. I bought a couple cheap pedals and a little loop pedal just to get me started. But when I started playing this, it didn't sound that great. Anybody with any guitar experience could have picked this thing up and made it sound way better than I did. But I'm getting to the point where I can actually make things that kind of sound like music. I'm starting to learn decent strumming patterns now. Picked up a lot more chords. I can actually play the F chord for the first time ever. It's been a fun learning experience, but it's been one of those processes that's been kind of slow. And I've had to let it kind of mold into my brain because I found out really quickly that it seems now I may get the two sides of the brain completely wrong. I know there's like the creative side. I'm going to call that the left side. I don't know whether it is or not. And then the right side, that's the analytical, logical side. I'm very much a right brain type of guy. Again, if those are crossed, just reverse my wording, okay? The right side of my brain takes over 90% of the time. A little bit, the left side creeps in and lets me have a little creativity, enough to do some YouTube videos here and there. But the rest of me is very, So learning guitar has been a very interesting experience because it takes a lot of the left side to do this. So when I'm watching a video or reading tabs or anything, my right side immediately takes everything over. It becomes very robotic, becomes very difficult to make good strumming patterns, keep in rhythm, because my mind's constantly analyzing every little thing I'm doing. Like, oh, that sounded really good. And then, what did you do? I got to figure that out. What was that strumming pattern again? And it tries to analytically break that down, and it doesn't work. It's been a rough process at times. So what I've learned to do to compensate for that is I'll learn something new from the tabs or music or a video. I'd play robotic for a while because that's the side of my brain that's engaged. And then I just turn that off and try and let my left side pick up what my right side has learned, whether that's a new chord to fit into a song or whatever. And it's a weird learning process. I've never ever thought the whole right-left side of the brain thing was all that accurate. But after playing with this, I can tell exactly when the right side kicks in and takes over, because everything becomes robotic and it doesn't sound right, and it doesn't sound good. But once I learn something that way, I can slowly disengage the right and let the left side take over, and then it makes things that sound okay. Not always great. It's not going to be great for a while. And I'm not trying to be a great guitar player. I don't want to start a band. I don't want to do anything crazy. I just want to be able to play some music because I enjoy it. So I'm getting better. Like I said, it's been this whole struggle between the left and right. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly for a while. I'm starting to get out of the poorly phase on a lot of things, but then suddenly I'll throw something new in the mix. Like a lot of these songs I'm learning currently have the F chord in it. I'm not always the quickest at getting the F chord on the guitar, but it's getting there. A year ago, I had really a lot of trouble transitioning from like a G chord to a C chord. I can do that with my, no problem now. So I'm hoping through enough repetition that things like that will come naturally. So that's where I've been. I've been immersing myself in music stuff, guitar stuff, and the family stuff. On the weekends, we've been spending a lot of time up on the mountains. I haven't forgotten about mines. I've been doing, on my spare time, what little I have, I've been doing some investigation on some mines I want to make videos of this summer. I'm going to try not to take any major projects on the homestead this year. Devote some time to family, camping, and mine adventures this summer. So that's what's been going on. I'm actually planning on maybe filing a couple mining claims. I haven't decided yet. I may take you along on a couple adventures here in the next month. Going out and scoping out some places that I think may have some gold that might be worth staking a claim on. We'll see. I did find out the other day that there's an active silver mine in Baker County I had no idea about. I just stumbled across it while I was doing research on another mine. I'll tell you more about that later. I'm hoping that I can contact the folks that are running that, and maybe we can go on a little adventure underground with them and see what their operation's all about. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, that's what we've been up to. I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head. So if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and I guess we'll see you on the next video. 24 minutes.